While much of the world is still sketching the blueprint, China has already begun pouring the concrete, from sea-crossing bridges stretching toward the horizon to highways twisting through deep mountains like steel threads in the clouds. To futuristic cities glowing through the night. This is no longer science fiction. It is reality. Where nature creates a barrier, Chinese engineers deliver a solution. Where technology reaches its limit, they push beyond it. From a giant telescope listening to the farthest edges of the universe, to highways cutting across barren deserts, China is not simply building infrastructure, it is building the future. In today's journey, we will explore the super projects that have forced the engineering world to look twice, along with lesser-known megaprojects that are just as remarkable, quietly reshaping the way we imagine what is possible. From above, the Qingdao Bay Bridge looks like a single, defiant line drawn straight across the open sea. So long that the naked eye can't take it all in. This is one of the longest sea-crossing bridges on Earth, linking Qingdao to Guangzhou in a striking Y-shaped design that branches out to embrace an entire urban region. 6 lanes of traffic run side by side, with a dedicated emergency lane down the center. Enough to keep vehicles flowing around the clock without pause. But what truly sets this bridge apart isn't its length, it's its lifespan. Engineered to stand for at least a century, it rises from waters notorious for relentless winds and corrosive salt air. To survive that, every element of its structure is built with specially designed anti-corrosion materials. And beneath the surface, thousands of steel and concrete piles are driven deep into the seabed, anchoring the entire span in place, no matter what the ocean throws at it. The Yaxi Expressway carves its way between Ya'an and Xichang, slicing through towering mountain peaks and plunging valleys deep enough to swallow entire cities. Locals call it the highway in the sky, and once you see it, you understand why. Thick bands of fog roll across the route without warning, leaving drivers suspended in a sea of white, as if the road beneath them has simply vanished. But what makes this highway remarkable isn't just the view, it's the engineering behind it. Rather than forcing vehicles up brutal inclines, the expressway is designed like a giant staircase, climbing steadily through gentle gradients. No hairpin turns, no white-knuckle switchbacks. Just a smooth, calculated ascent through some of the most unforgiving terrain on the planet. And the numbers speak for themselves. Along its path, the Yaxi Expressway crosses 270 viaducts and passes through 25 tunnels, most of them blasted directly into solid rock. Every single one of them built for one purpose: to punch a safe passage through a landscape that was never meant to be crossed. This isn't just a highway, it's a lifeline, connecting the remote corners of Sichuan to the outside world, opening the door to tourism, trade, and a future that geography alone once made impossible.
As we leave the misty, multi-layered labyrinth of Chongqing behind, we accelerate toward the eastern coast, where the future is measured in sheer height and blistering speed. Shanghai. If Chongqing is the cyberpunk capital, Shanghai is the gleaming, hyper-advanced utopia of the 21st century. The moment your feet touch the ground here, you realize that time moves differently. To understand that speed, you do not take a cab from the airport. You board the Shanghai Maglev. This is not a normal train. It does not even touch the tracks. Using magnetic levitation, it floats on a cushion of air and shoots across the landscape at a mind-numbing 431 kilometers per hour. The world outside the window blurs into streaks of color as you cover 30 kilometers in just 7 minutes. You are essentially flying at ground level. Once you step into the heart of the Lujiazui financial district, you are instantly swallowed by a forest of glass and steel that pushes the very limits of modern engineering. Standing at the center of it all is the Shanghai Tower. Reaching a dizzying height of 632 meters, it is the tallest building in China and a structural genius. Its unique, twisting, spiraling design is not just for showing off. That twist actually reduces wind loads by 24%. Allowing this mammoth structure to withstand the brutal typhoons that regularly batter the coast. Near the very top, hidden from the naked eye, a fleet of 270 vertical axis wind turbines spins silently, generating massive amounts of electricity to power the building itself. Surrounding it are equally iconic giants. The Oriental Pearl Tower stands out with its futuristic, glowing spheres, while the Shanghai World Financial Center, famously dubbed the bottle opener, uses its massive trapezoidal opening to expertly slice through heavy wind pressure. Standing on the observation deck of the Shanghai Tower, looking down at these colossal structures, you realize that humans have not just built a skyline here, they have engineered a vertical ecosystem. Every pane of glass, every steel beam is calculated to dominate the forces of nature while scraping the edge of the stratosphere. But the future is not only about building up, it is about connecting the impossible. Leaving the dazzling lights of Guangzhou, we head toward the turbulent waters of the Pearl River Delta, Shenzhen-Zhongshan Link. Imagine trying to build a road across one of the busiest, most chaotic shipping lanes on the planet, where fierce currents, shifting tides, and violent typhoons are a daily threat. Engineers did not just build a bridge here, they orchestrated a 49-kilometer symphony of bridges, underwater tunnels, and artificial islands. This is the Shenzhen-Zhongshan Link, an absolute behemoth of civil engineering that forces the ocean into submission. Your journey begins as you drive onto a massive overseas suspension bridge, the wind howling against your vehicle. But just as you think you are going to cross the entire delta above the waves, the road does something completely unexpected. It plunges directly into an artificial island built entirely from scratch in the middle of the sea. From there, your car dives deep beneath the ocean floor into a massive underwater tube. This is not a slow, creeping tunnel. It is designed for vehicles to maintain high speeds, equipped with state-of-the-art ventilation and intelligent traffic control systems that monitor every single inch of the route. Why go underwater? Because the surface of the delta is crowded with thousands of massive cargo ships every single day. A traditional bridge would have blocked the maritime lifeline of global trade. So, they sank the highway to let the megaships pass seamlessly overhead. Emerging on the other side, into the hyper-advanced tech hub of Shenzhen, you realize the sheer audacity of this project. It cuts travel time between the two major cities from 2 hours down to just 30 minutes. You are not just crossing water, you are witnessing a multi-billion-dollar masterstroke that bends the geography of the Earth to fit the pace of the future. Three Gorges Dam. You are standing before the absolute largest hydroelectric power station on the planet, a structure so unfathomably massive that its creation actually altered the rotation of the Earth. For thousands of years, the mighty Yangtze River was an untamed force of nature, a roaring lifeline that brought both immense prosperity and devastating floods to the people living along its banks. But modern engineers looked at this unstoppable force and decided to tame it. The sheer scale of this concrete fortress is impossible to grasp through photographs alone. Spanning over 2 kilometers across the river, it holds back a reservoir so vast it looks like an inland sea. When the floodgates open, the water blasts out with an explosive, deafening roar, creating artificial waterfalls that shake the very bedrock beneath your feet. This singular structure generates a staggering amount of electricity, fueling the endless growth of the nation's megacities. But taming the river created a new problem. How do you move massive cargo ships across a concrete wall that is hundreds of feet high? The traditional method involves a slow, agonizing process through a series of step locks, which can take several hours to complete. That simply was not fast enough for the future. So they built the ultimate mechanical titan, the Three Gorges ship lift. This is not just an elevator, it is a staggering feat of hydraulic engineering capable of lifting a massive 3,000-ton cargo ship over 100 meters straight up into the air. Imagine the sheer audacity required to engineer a watertight chamber that encapsulates a massive vessel, suspends it entirely in mid-air, and smoothly elevates it to the top of the dam in just 40 minutes. You are essentially watching a massive chunk of the river, ship and all, defying gravity in a steel cage. The precision required to balance thousands of tons of water and metal moving vertically with flawless stability is nothing short of a modern miracle. Standing at the base and watching this colossal machine go to work leaves you with a profound sense of awe at what human determination can achieve. Chongqing. You are not looking at a computer-generated rendering from a sci-fi blockbuster. You are staring at a real, breathing metropolis wrapped in a perpetual blanket of mist. Known as the Mountain City, Chongqing defies every traditional rule of urban planning. Instead of flattening the earth, engineers here decided to build directly into the sky and deep into the rugged cliffs. Imagine walking down a bustling street, only to realize you are actually standing on the roof of a 20-story skyscraper. It messes with your mind in the best way possible. The true marvel of this cyberpunk reality hits you when you look up and hear the rumble of a train. But it is not passing over a bridge. At Lisbon Station, the transit system literally blasts right through the middle of a massive residential building. Instead of tearing down the apartment block to make way for the tracks, they integrated the station into the 6th and 8th floors. It is a masterpiece of noise cancellation and space optimization, allowing residents to sleep soundly while thousands of commuters glide right through their living rooms. But the ambition of Chongqing does not stop at ground level or mid-air transit. Look toward the point where the Yangtze and Jialing rivers violently crash into each other, and you will see Raffles City. This architectural titan features 8 colossal skyscrapers, but that is not the crazy part. Hovering horizontally across the top of these towers is a massive 300-meter-long glass-bottomed bridge known as the Crystal. It looks exactly like a futuristic spaceship that just decided to dock on top of the city. Walking across its transparent floor feels like you are suspended in the clouds, looking down at the swirling rivers hundreds of feet below. When night falls, this entire complex, along with the city's skyline, ignites with a synchronized LED light show that pulses like a digital heartbeat. You are standing in a living laboratory of tomorrow. Taklamakan Desert Highway. For centuries, this desolate wasteland was violently feared by traders, explorers, and ancient empires alike. The name itself loosely translates to the place of no return, or the deeply ominous Sea of Death. You are staring straight into the burning heart of China's largest and most unforgiving desert, an endless ocean of golden, aggressively shifting sand dunes where temperatures can swing wildly and violent sandstorms can bury everything in their path in a matter of minutes. To look at this extremely hostile environment and decide to pave a perfectly smooth modern highway right through its core sounds like absolute madness. Yet, that is exactly what human ambition achieved here. Building a road over constantly moving sand is one of the ultimate, most grueling tests of civil engineering. The massive dunes here are not static. They migrate heavily, driven by relentless, punishing winds, meaning any normal road would be swallowed entirely by the desert in a matter of days. To conquer this seemingly impossible terrain, engineers had to think far beyond just asphalt and steel. They engineered a sprawling, brilliant biological defense system known as the Green Great Wall. Millions of highly resilient, drought-resistant shrubs and trees were meticulously planted along both sides of the vast highway, creating an artificial ecological barrier that physically locks the shifting sands in place. A highly complex automated drip irrigation system continuously pumps water from deep underground aquifers to keep this protective green ribbon alive in one of the absolute driest places on Earth. Driving along this flawless black ribbon of asphalt, slicing through towering yellow dunes, you experience a surreal contrast between the brutal forces of raw nature and the unyielding willpower of human ingenuity. I have to pause and ask you right now. Would you ever dare to take a solo road trip across the Sea of Death, driving for hundreds of miles with nothing but an endless ocean of sand surrounding you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because we love hearing how adventurous you really are. Maintaining this monumental route requires constant, unbroken vigilance, with dedicated workers stationed in incredibly isolated outposts to ensure the irrigation lines never fail. As you speed down this pristine tarmac, feeling the intense heat radiate from the endless dunes, you quickly realize this is not just a road. It is a profound statement of survival, a critical artery of modern civilization, pumping life through a barren wasteland, completely defying the ancient rules of geography and nature. Descending from the dizzying heights of Shanghai, we ride the high-speed rail south to a city that acts as the blazing economic engine of the Pearl River Delta, Guangzhou. This port metropolis has been China's gateway to the world for centuries, but today it has completely rewritten its own DNA to become a beacon of futuristic aesthetics. As dusk falls over the city, the true magic of Guangzhou awakens. Dominating the night sky is the Canton Tower. Rather than a rigid block of concrete and steel, the tower features an elegant, twisted lattice structure that cinches in the middle, earning it the nickname the Supermodel. Covered in a spectacular array of programmable LEDs, it transforms into a glowing, multicolored beacon that reflects brilliantly off the dark waters of the Pearl River. However, the most mind-bending structure in this city does not reach for the clouds. It plays with geometry in a way you rarely see in vertical architecture. Standing on the edge of the river is the Guangzhou Circle. Forget everything you know about traditional skyscrapers. This 138-meter-tall building is a perfect, massive circle with a 47-meter-wide hole cut right through the center. From a distance, especially when its golden glass reflects in the water, it perfectly forms the shape of a figure 8, a symbol of wealth and infinity in Chinese culture. It is not just a building, it is a colossal, habitable sculpture. The architectural engineering required to stabilize a massive hollow circle against wind shear and gravity is nothing short of phenomenal. It defies the standard logic of maximizing floor space, choosing instead to make a bold, uncompromising statement about art and cultural identity merging with futuristic design. Walking the illuminated streets of Guangzhou, watching these surreal shapes pierce the night, you cannot help but feel that you have crossed into a realm where imagination faces no structural limits. Vast telescope. Deep within the lush, remote mountains of Guizhou province, hidden away from the noise and chaos of modern civilization, lies a machine that looks like it was dropped directly out of a science fiction universe. You are looking at the 500-meter aperture spherical radio telescope, the largest and most sensitive listening device ever constructed by humanity. Instead of building a massive structural foundation from scratch, engineers scoured the landscape and found a gigantic natural sinkhole, ingeniously using the Earth's own ancient geology as the perfect physical cradle for this astronomical titan. The physical scale of this gleaming silver dish is absolutely mind-numbing. It spans an area equivalent to 30 standard football fields, completely dominating the entire valley it rests in. But it is not just the physical size that makes this structure a breathtaking marvel of futuristic engineering. It is what this colossal eye is actually doing. This machine is actively listening to the deepest, darkest corners of the cosmos. Its technological sensitivity is so extreme that it could effortlessly detect the faint signal of a regular cell phone operating all the way on Jupiter. Right now, as you watch this, its vast array of precisely angled panels is capturing mysterious whispers from ancient galaxies located a staggering 13 billion light-years away. To ensure its flawless, uninterrupted operation, a strict radio silence zone has been established for miles around the facility. No cell phones, no Wi-Fi, no electronic interference of any kind is allowed. When you stand on the elevated observation deck overlooking this massive silver bowl, you are surrounded by absolute, profound silence. Yet, you deeply know that right beneath you, the greatest piece of technology on Earth is actively pulling in data from rapidly spinning pulsars, dying stars, and potentially the elusive signals of extraterrestrial life. intricate cable net structure that supports the panels can actively deform the surface, creating a moving parabolic dish within the larger sphere to track moving celestial objects with pinpoint accuracy. It is a masterpiece of precision mechanics operating on a gigantic scale, pushing the absolute boundaries of astrophysics. It is a bridge between our small blue planet and the infinite unknown, proving that the future of engineering is not just about conquering our own world, but reaching out to deeply touch the very fabric of the universe.